Where on earth is Justin Bieber? That's the massive question that's been echoing through the halls of social media and the neon-lit streets of Hollywood for months now. Seriously, think about it for a second. One day he's the biggest face on the entire planet, and the next? Poof, he's just gone. We're talking about the Prince of Pop himself, a guy who hasn't just lived in the spotlight. He was the spotlight, but lately, the silence coming from his camp is more than just a little bit eerie. It's absolutely deafening. You've noticed it too, right? The Instagram posts are fewer, the public appearances are rare, and that signature Bieber energy seems to have evaporated. It feels like just yesterday we couldn't go 5 minutes without hearing a new Bieber track or seeing his face on every billboard from New York to Tokyo. From the early Bieber fever days to the massive success of the Justice album, Justin's dominance was absolute. He was selling out massive stadiums and living life at 100 miles per hour. But now, the stage lights have dimmed, the microphones are off, and the red carpets are missing their main attraction. There is a shocking contrast between those peak years and the current silence that has the entire world on edge. Is he just catching his breath, or is there something much deeper happening? It wasn't just one single moment that led to this withdrawal. Rumors suggest it was a series of unfortunate events that finally pushed him over the edge. It started with those scary health diagnoses, but honestly, that was just the tip of the iceberg. The industry pressure, the constant paparazzi scrutiny, and the weight of being a global icon since age 13. It all started to pile up like a car crash in slow motion. When it finally hit the breaking point, Justin didn't just take a break, he basically vanished. He retreated from the world he once ruled, leaving millions of fans wondering if he'd ever come back to the stage. That brings us to the whispers currently circulating through the Hollywood grapevine. You've probably seen the headlines. People are starting to say that Justin Bieber is officially done with the music industry for good. We're not just talking about a hiatus, folks. We're talking about a full-on retirement. Can you even imagine a world without new Bieber music? No more world tours or chart-topping hits? The whispers are getting louder every day, and even some industry insiders are starting to suggest that the Prince of Pop is ready to hand over his crown forever. It is a thought that sends shockwaves through the entire industry. This is a serious claim for sure. Is he really hanging it all up at only 30 years old? He's supposed to be in his prime, but maybe that's exactly the point. Maybe his prime is something he wants to spend away from the flashing cameras. Let's dive into the truth that the tabloids are missing. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We want to know who is riding along with us. Now, let's look at the timeline because the clues are hiding in plain sight. It all traces back to those last canceled tour dates that left the world shocked and confused. The Justice World Tour was supposed to be a victory lap, but instead, it became a symbol of his struggle. Shows were postponed then. The whole thing was scrapped. Since then, he has moved toward a private life, choosing his inner circle over the roar of a stadium. He is avoiding Hollywood hotspots and focusing on his peace. It is a total shift from the boy wonder we once knew. Is he finally finding true happiness, or is he just exhausted by the fame? We will dig deep. The truth is much more complex than you think. Let us start here and now. To really understand why the silence today is so heavy, we have to look back at where it all started. Imagine being 13 years old, still trying to figure out your own reflection in the mirror, and suddenly becoming the most famous human on the planet. It's a level of pressure that would crush most grown men, yet Justin had to carry it on his teenage shoulders. He was the world's biggest child star. A boy wonder who didn't just have fans, he had an army, but did the industry finally break him? Think about the constant demands, the sleepless nights, and the total lack of privacy. It wasn't just about the music, it was about being a product that had to perform 24/7. When you've been a global brand since your voice first started changing, the cracks are bound to show eventually. We saw them over the years, sure. But what we're seeing now is different. It's like he's finally decided to stop patching the cracks and just walk away from the building entirely. Who is he surrounding himself with now that the stadium lights have gone dark? It's not a massive crew of hangers-on. Justin's inner circle has become incredibly tight and protective. At the heart of this sanctuary is his wife, Hailey Bieber. She's more than just his partner. She's his anchor in a world that's always trying to pull him back out to sea. Together, they've found a home within a tight-knit religious community. This isn't a casual thing, it's a lifestyle prioritizing peace. You see them in candid shots, away from the glitz, looking like they're just trying to breathe. This community offers him something the music industry never could, a sense of belonging that isn't tied to his record sales. But speaking of the industry, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the Scooter Braun factor. For over a decade, Scooter and Justin were the ultimate power duo. Scooter was the visionary who turned a YouTube kid into a legend. However, the vibe has shifted. There's a sudden, undeniable distance between them that has fans scratching their heads. Why the professional rift? Rumors suggest Justin is looking for more autonomy, a way to be the boss of his own life after years of being guided. This distance signals that the old Bieber era is officially over. This brings us to the new Justin. Contrast the Bieber fever chaos with the man we see today. Back then, it was all about the next hit or the next world-dominating tour. Now, he seems to prioritize his mental health over every chart-topping opportunity. He's choosing quiet mornings and personal reflection over the adrenaline rush of a live show. It's a radical move in a business that tells you to strike while the iron is hot. But Justin's iron has been hot for 20 years, and maybe he's just tired of the heat. He's showing us a version of himself that is raw, vulnerable, and honestly a bit exhausted by the game. He's choosing a life where his worth isn't measured by streams. It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Can someone who has lived under a microscope since age 13 ever truly have a normal life? Is there a version of reality where he isn't an icon but just a guy? He's trying to find that balance, but the world won't stop watching. Every move is analyzed, and every silence is interpreted as a crisis. It's a heavy weight to carry when you're just trying to find your peace. But wait until we dive into his health crisis and that massive music catalog sale, because things are about to get even more mysterious. The journey into his private world is only getting started. Can he really leave it all behind? There is much more to uncover about what is truly happening behind the mansion gates as the Prince of Pop contemplates the future of his storied career. The next chapter is darker than anyone expected. The reality of Justin's situation started to get really dark when his physical health took a terrifying turn that no one saw coming. You remember that video he posted in 2022, right? It was a moment that stopped the internet dead in its tracks. Seeing one side of his face completely paralyzed was honestly heartbreaking. He was diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, a rare neurological disorder caused by a virus that attacks the nerves in the ear and face. For a performer whose entire career is built on expression, communication, and that $1 million smile, this wasn't just a health scare. It was a full-blown identity crisis. Can you imagine the sheer terror of waking up and not being able to blink or smile properly? It wasn't just about the physical pain. It was the psychological blow of feeling like his body was betraying him in front of the entire world. This health crisis left deeper scars on his confidence than he ever let on publicly. Even as the paralysis began to fade, the fear remained. How do you go back to performing for 80,000 people when you're worried your face might freeze up again? Rumors from within his camp suggest that this experience shifted something fundamental in his soul. He wasn't just a pop star anymore. He was a man who felt fragile for the first time in his life. It's likely one of the biggest reasons he decided to pull the plug on the remaining dates of the Justice World Tour. He realized that no amount of fame or money was worth sacrificing his basic physical functions. He chose his health over the roar of the crowd, and honestly, can we really blame him for that? But while he was stepping away from the stage, he was making some massive moves behind the scenes that had everyone in the music industry scratching their heads. We're talking about that jaw-dropping $200 million payday. Justin sold his entire music catalog, everything from Baby to his most recent hits, to a massive investment firm. Now, you have to realize how huge this is. Usually, legendary artists like Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen sell their catalogs when they are in their 70s and looking to settle their estates. For a 30-year-old superstar to do this is almost unheard of. Is this the ultimate exit strategy? By cashing out now, he has essentially ensured that he and his family never have to work a single day for the rest of their lives. It feels like he's closing the book on his past life and putting the money in a vault so he can walk away with his head held high. Behind closed doors, the struggle goes even deeper than just one syndrome. There have been persistent whispers about his long-term battles with chronic illness, including Lyme disease and chronic mononucleosis. These aren't just things you get over. They are battles that involve constant fatigue, brain fog, and physical pain. When you see him on stage giving it his all, you aren't seeing the days of total exhaustion that follow. The toll it takes on his ability to perform live is massive, and it seems like he's finally hit a wall where he can't push through the pain anymore. He's choosing to listen to his body instead of the demands of his record label. This might explain the deafening silence coming from the recording studio. Think about it. Why haven't we had a new album since Justice? For a guy who used to live in the booth, this gap is telling. Is he suffering from a massive case of creative burnout? When you've been forced to produce hits since you were a literal child, the well is bound to run dry eventually. Maybe he just doesn't have anything left to say to the world right now, or maybe he's realized that he doesn't need to say anything at all to be happy. It's a level of creative silence that feels less like a break and more like a permanent departure. If you look closely at his rare public appearances lately, the evidence is right there in front of us. He doesn't look like the high-energy Prince of Pop we used to know. In many paparazzi shots, he looks exhausted, hiding under oversized hoodies and keeping his head down. He's avoiding the flashing lights like the plague. Does he look happy? In some moments with Haley, sure, he looks at peace, but the celebrity version of Justin looks like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He looks like a man who is tired of being watched, tired of being judged, and just plain tired. The hunt for clues continues, and every sign points toward a man who is ready to let the old Bieber era die so he can finally breathe. But wait until you see how the fans are reacting to this, because the theories are getting wilder by the second. While Justin is tucked away behind his security gates, the internet is absolutely losing its mind. When a superstar goes silent, the believers don't just wait around for a press release. They start digging. The theories popping up on TikTok right now are something else entirely. Some fans are convinced he's being kept in an artistic prison, leading to a massive wave of Free Justin hashtags that have taken over social media. It's a total meltdown. They're analyzing every old interview, every lyric, and every blurry paparazzi shot to find a hidden message that he's calling out for help. Is it dramatic? Maybe. But when you've followed someone since they were 13, you feel like you know them on a personal level. The lack of updates isn't just frustrating. It's fueling a fire of speculation that's becoming impossible to ignore. It's a bizarre and wild time to be a fan, to say the least. It feels like the whole world is holding its breath, waiting for a sign of life that isn't just a grainy photo of him looking stressed in the back of an SUV. Then there's the Haley factor. If you've been on social media lately, you know her name is constantly tied to Justin's withdrawal. The internet's obsession with their marriage has reached a fever pitch. There are constant, relentless rumors about marital strain and whispers that things aren't as perfect as they seem in their private world. People dissect their body language, looking for a sign, a missed handhold, or a distant gaze that supposedly proves they're on the rocks. But is the pressure of the marriage the problem? Or is it the pressure of the entire world watching them? Being the wife of one of the most scrutinized men on the planet can't be easy. It seems the couple is caught in a crossfire of public opinion they never asked for. Are they struggling or just trying to survive the Hollywood circus together? We're talking about real people, not just magazine covers. Justin's Instagram has also become a very strange place. He's moved away from professional, polished shots and started posting cryptic experimental photo dumps. We're talking about random scenery, blurry selfies, and even pictures of himself looking visibly upset. What is he trying to tell us? To some, it looks like a cry for help. To others, it's a sign he's finally being honest about his mental health and doesn't care about looking like a perfect pop star anymore. He's showing the raw, unfiltered reality of his life, even if it makes people uncomfortable. It feels like he's intentionally breaking the fourth wall of celebrity culture, saying he's not okay and won't pretend to be for our entertainment. It's fascinating and heartbreaking all at once. You see those posts and realize that underneath the hits, there's a human being processing heavy stuff in the public eye. This shift explains his legendary conflict with the paparazzi. Justin has had a rocky history with the press, but lately he's taken it to a new level by simply disappearing. He's no longer seen at the Hollywood hotspots where celebrities go when they actually want to be photographed. You won't find him outside trendy restaurants like Catch anymore. He's avoiding the flashing lights like they're toxic. He's decided that the price of fame, having a camera shoved in his face just for grabbing a coffee, is no longer a price he's willing to pay. He's trading the glamour of the red carpet for the privacy of his residence. He's effectively ghosting Hollywood, and the more he pulls away, the more the industry seems desperate to drag him back in. All this has led to a really interesting shift in public sentiment. For years, people were either obsessed with him or loved to hate him, but now, the world is starting to feel a genuine sense of pity and concern. Instead of demanding a new hit single, people are starting to say he should just take a break. The narrative is changing from "where's the music" and to "is he going to be okay?" It's a rare moment where the public chooses empathy over consumption. We're seeing a man who gave his entire life to the industry And we're realizing he might be out of gas. We see him not as a product, but as a guy who needs peace. But just wait, because the story is about to take a massive turn with news of a new arrival that changes everything he thought he knew about his future. Just when we thought the mystery couldn't get any deeper, the biggest news of all dropped. The kind of news that changes everything for any person, let alone a global superstar who has lived his entire life under a microscope. We are, of course, talking about the massive internet-shattering reveal of Hailey's pregnancy. Can you even imagine? The baby singer is actually having a baby. It's wild, right? This wasn't just another headline in a tabloid. It felt like the final piece of the puzzle falling into place for anyone wondering why Justin has been so distant. When those beautiful, grainy photos of their vow renewal in Hawaii hit our feeds, showing off Hailey's growing bump in that white lace dress, the collective gasp from the Beliebers could be heard across the globe. But beyond the cute outfits and the celebrity hype, this news signals a tectonic shift in Justin's entire world. Becoming a father isn't just a milestone for him. It's likely the ultimate exit ramp from the madness of the music industry that has chewed him up for nearly 2 decades. Think about it for a second. Justin has spent more than half his life catering to the whims of millions of people. He's been the world's son, the world's teenage heartthrob, and eventually the world's favorite target for criticism. Now, he gets to be a father, a role that demands his full attention and, most importantly, his total presence. There is a very popular theory floating around right now among the more dedicated fans that I like to call the quiet life strategy. Rumors are swirling that Justin and Hailey are looking to leave the chaotic, toxic energy of Los Angeles behind for good. And honestly, can you blame them? If you were about to raise a child, would you want them surrounded by the same aggressive paparazzi who chased you through the streets when you were just a kid yourself? Word on the street is that they are looking for a much more secluded life, perhaps spending way more time at their massive, peaceful estate in Canada, or finding a hidden sanctuary far away from the Hollywood Hills. He's moving toward becoming a reclusive legend, someone who pops up once every few years for a special project, rather than someone who lives on our Instagram timelines every single day. This brings up a really scary question that keeps his most loyal fans up at night. Was the Justice World Tour actually the last time we will ever see him on a stage? I know, it's hard to hear, but we have to be real about the facts. When you look at his recent moves, selling his entire music catalog for a staggering $200 million and stepping almost completely back from public life, it doesn't exactly scream, "I'm planning a massive comeback tour for next year." So what would it actually take to bring him back into the light? Some industry insiders speculate that he might eventually do a Super Bowl halftime show just to put a final, glorious period on his career. But even that feels like a stretch in his current headspace. Others suggest he might pivot to a very stripped-back acoustic era where he only plays small, intimate venues if he plays at all. Imagine a Justin Bieber who only releases music when he has something truly personal to say, with no promotion, no grueling press tours, and no world-spanning schedules. It's the ultimate dream for an artist who has been burned out by the corporate machine. But what are the people actually in his inner circle saying? Sources close to the couple have been whispering that Justin's focus has shifted entirely toward his domestic life. They say he's finally found the peace he's been searching for since he was a kid, busking on the steps of a theater in Stratford. For the first time in his life, he doesn't feel the burning need to prove himself to the critics or the charts. He's not chasing the next #1 hit or trying to break another streaming record. He's just being. And honestly, that might be the most rock star move he's ever made. Choosing your family and your mental health over another multi-million-dollar payday is a move very few people in his position have the courage to actually execute. But here's the thought that really sticks in your throat as a fan. Is it possible that Justin Bieber has already given us everything he had to give? We've seen him grow up, fall in love, break down, and rebuild himself more times than we can count. He's given us the anthems of a generation. Maybe his Justice era wasn't just another album title, but a final plea for his own personal justice. The right to live a life that belongs only to him and his new family. It's a heavy thing to consider. But as we look toward his future as a dad, we have to wonder if the Prince of Pop is ready to let the music fade out so he can finally hear his own voice. The silence isn't just about a lack of songs, it's about the start of a whole new chapter we might never be invited to see. Yet even with all this peace, there are still those who think a storm is brewing behind the scenes. Stay tuned, because the final piece of this story is about to be revealed. So when we look at the puzzle pieces we've spent all this time laying out, the picture becomes incredibly clear. It's not just one thing that drove Justin into the shadows, it was the perfect storm of health, wealth, and a deep need for a real identity. For the first time in his 30 years on this planet, Justin isn't just reacting to what the world wants from him. He is actively choosing himself. And honestly, can we even be mad at that? Think about the sheer physical toll of Ramsay Hunt syndrome. That wasn't just a minor health scare. It was a loud, terrifying wake-up call from his own body saying, "Stop, or I will stop you." When your face literally stops working because of the stress and the grind, that is a message you can't ignore. Then you add in that staggering $200 million payday from selling his entire music catalog. Let's be real, Justin doesn't ever have to sing another note to live a life of absolute luxury. He's bought his freedom, but the real clincher, the thing that seals the deal on this era of silence, is his transition into fatherhood. We've watched this guy go from a kid with a purple hoodie to a man who is about to hold his own child. Everything changes when you realize there is someone who needs you more than the millions of fans screaming your name. He's looking at his future and seeing diapers, strollers, and quiet mornings. We have to face the reality that Justin might be totally okay with being a reclusive legend. He's seen the top of the mountain, he's felt the biting cold at the summit, and now he's just looking for a warm, quiet house where the paparazzi can't find him. He's protecting his peace, and in a world that tries to strip celebrities of every ounce of absolute privacy, that is the ultimate act of incredible rebellion. It's also important to talk to you, the longtime fans, the believers who have been there through every single era. It is perfectly okay for us to feel a bit of grief for the loss of his public presence. But we also have to realize that loving an artist means wanting what's best for them, even if that means they stop making music. If this is indeed the end of the road for Justin Bieber, how are we going to remember him? He wasn't just a pop star, he was the first true viral sensation of the internet age. His legacy isn't just a list of global hits. It's the story of a kid who survived a machine built to break him. He's coming out the other side with his soul intact, his marriage to Haley strong, and a new life on the way. He's teaching the world that your mental health and your family are worth more than any amount of fame or clout. But wait, there's even more to consider. But now, I have to turn the floor over to you guys. This is the big debate. Do you think Justin Bieber owes us one final comeback, a grand finale to close the book? Or has he officially earned his right to just disappear into the sunset? Are you still holding out hope for that special rumored acoustic album? Or are you happy just seeing him live his life as a dad and a husband on his own terms? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Is there a secret project in the works? Or is the Justice Tour truly our final goodbye to the Prince of Pop? In a town like Hollywood, the silence is always often way louder than the noise. And right now, Justin's silence is telling a very powerful story of healing and hope. We'll just maybe be keeping our eyes on those cryptic Instagram posts. But until then, thanks for hanging out and diving into this mystery with me. If you loved this deep dive into what really happened to Justin, don't forget to truly smash that like button and subscribe. Stay curious, stay kind, and goodbye for more deep dives.